we're going to move on to the first motion, which is Cllr Noeleen Reilly's one, is it?
Yeah.
You have the motion there. Yeah. Deirdre has the motion there. She's going to call it out.
Well, she can. Yeah.
Do you want to read it out?
She proposes it for
Cllr Reilly, do you want to read it out while proposing it, or do you want me to read it out?
And will you read it out? I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, so that Dublin City Council calls on the government to immediately remove funding of 16.8 million to the greyhound industry and calls for a complete ban on racing. 6,000 dogs are killed inhumanely every year in Ireland, as well as many more who suffer horrific abuse. In no way should this practice be tolerated, and certainly not at the expense of the taxpayers. So there is an amendment, isn't it?
Yeah, she can put that for 3 minutes.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes now to propose the motion, please.
Right. Thank you. So I put forward this motion a number of years ago as a result of a Prime Times Investigates programme. Unfortunately, we're only reaching it now, but the programme was horrific in that it highlighted what I suppose some have suspected for a long time. There is systematic animal abuse in the greyhound industry, an industry which is self-regulated but propped up by the Irish taxpayer, an industry that would not survive if it wasn't for the 17 million given each year. The fact that the state can hand out such large amounts of money without any checks is criminal. We are basically, in many cases, providing people with money to breed animals and then put them down if they do not meet their certain standards. Thousands of greyhounds are killed every year. It is alleged that the industry is breeding 1,000% more puppies than it needs, which leads to large-scale culling. There is widespread drug abuse in this industry as well, which the IGB seems to always miss. We do not know what happens to many of the dogs when their racing days are over, and we are not told what happens to them. The Irish greyhound industry say that they have checks in place in their stadiums, but they cannot tell us what happens before the races or after the races. They have done this for years and they've known what's going on for years, and there has been no improvement in standards. The Irish Greyhound body have received 300 million since 2001. This is money that could have been spent in terms of providing greater support for our health service, in terms of housing, homelessness, domestic violence. The list is endless. Only for the Irish taxpayer, this industry wouldn't exist. And I think there was recent footage of an incident before the lockdown at Shelbourne Park, and it was just absolutely horrific, the injuries that animal took place. Ironically, rather than animal lovers, many in this industry are actually abusers of animals. I do not believe that the Irish taxpayer wants to continue giving such large amounts of money to the industry. A recent Red Sea opinion poll said that 2/3 of the Irish public did not want this funding to continue. 16% did, and 18% didn't know. Many sponsors have pulled out in recent years from sponsorship of the greyhound industry, but the biggest sponsor, the state, still remains. So I'm asking councillors to support this motion. I don't support the amendment because it completely changes the motion, and Councillor Kieran Perry is going to second it. Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you, Councillor Reilly.
It's a racket. It's a racket. Agreed.
Apologies for my dog interrupting there, barking away.
Okay, I have a seconder, Councillor Perry. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to. We're short on a little time, so I'm going to ask it, to be by group. So to have their speaking time of 1.5 minutes. I'm going to bring in Fianna Fáil first for 1.5 minutes, please. And then I'll bring in the amendment. So,
Gurmagad Third Pair, I don't support the amendment as the proposer says it changes the motion. I want to commend Cllr Reilly for putting down this motion. It's very appropriate. Unfortunately, Lord Mayor, we as a society, and I'm particularly interested in people in Dublin, we don't seem to value we don't take our responsibility for animal welfare seriously enough in the city, and it's an issue that is really, really important to me, and I know to Councillor Reilly. For 6,000 greyhounds killed, according to the RTE Investigates programme, every year. 2,600 of them are killed because they fail to produce qualifying times. 2,000 are killed because they fail to produce desired entry-level times, and 1,300 are killed because of an unacceptable decline in performance in the racetrack. Lord Mayor, this is completely unacceptable. There's huge amounts of taxpayers' money being spent to invest in the greyhound industry, only for the greyhound industry to kill 6,000 animals. I am absolutely appalled that such a thing would occur, and anything that I can do to assist in the protection of animal welfare in our city, I want to do.
Thank you, Councillor Heaney. I have Councillor Cooney speaking for the Green Party. I have no one for Fine Gael or Labour. So if someone for Fine Gael or Labour want to pull up their hand, please do. Councillor Cooney, a minute and a half, please.
Thank you. I'd like to support this motion. It's a policy of the Green Party. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it into the programme to government that we would be opposed to the greyhound industry. We don't regard it as a sport. You know, it's a cruel industry. It's cruel on animals. And it obviously doesn't have the public support either, and it shouldn't be getting public support. I possibly with other councillors would have got an email demanding from them that you know, that they would not be stopped during COVID-19 restrictions, and they felt that they could continue on, that they seem to think there's some sort of elite sport. So I would be very supportive of this, and you know, we should be progressing as humanely as possible, that we do not see the hurt of animals and the destruction of 6,000 dogs a year. I know many people that are trying to rehome these greyhounds and even bringing them abroad, and now with Brexit that's probably not even as possible. Some of them are brought over to the UK to be rehomed. So I think that it's, you know, it's very urgent that is taken, and I would totally agree with this. Unfortunately, our council vote will probably not actually be very effective, but I would support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooney. I'll have, after this is Councillor Doolan from Sinn Féin, Councillor Dermot Lacey from Labour, Councillor Tara Deasy from Social Democrats, Councillor Hazel Norton from People Before Profit. Councillor Perry, I know you have your hand up, but because the independent group has already spoken through the motion, I won't be taking you. But we are, if anyone from Fine Gael would like to speak, let me know.
Sorry, so, Lord Mayor, point of order. That motion was from an individual independent councillor. What she Noeleen was speaking as an individual putting the motion forward, not from the group.
That, so I will bring you in after, I think it's after Dermot. So Councillor Daithí Doolan.
Cllr Magat, Lord Mayor, and I commend the council for introducing this motion, and our amendment is an attempt to perhaps realistically tackle the cruelty that goes on in the greyhound industry. Nobody's condoning it, nobody's supporting it, nobody's acquiescing with it. What we're saying, our motion says we need to control it and manage it rather than the industry itself. What we do not want to see is this industry forced underground. Like any sport that's forced underground, it leads to less control, leads to more cruelty and more bloodletting, and nobody wants to see that. To simply withdraw all the funding and see that the greyhound industry slip further away from the controls of the state is not what we want to see. We need to engage fully with the industry. We also have to fully recognise the employment it provides. We also need to ensure that the money that's been put into the industry is used properly. And we're looking for a proper management of the industry and a total inquiry and stripping down the industry to make sure that we root out those involved in this cruelty rather than simply dismissing it. And then we've done our bit, but it continues to carry on in the shadows and the darkness rather than shining the light of an inquiry on it and rooting out those involved in this unacceptable behaviour once and for all.
Thank you, Councillor Doolan. Councillor Ciarán Perry.
Thanks, Harold Vera. I appreciate that. I'd like to obviously support the motion and commend the councillor for highlighting this issue in the past and continuing to do so tonight. I'll just say I'm disappointed with the amendment that's gone through because it negates the intention of the original motion, which is to remove state funding. And I'd make the point that I've made it before, if councillors don't support the motion, they should have the conviction to vote against rather than trying to obstruct the original motion. I understand that withdrawn funding will affect jobs and people's livelihoods, but I'd argue that abusive industries cannot be condoned simply because the risk of losing jobs. The excellent RTE documentary exposed the reality of the greyhound industry, and what I'm saying and what the council are saying is that the state must stop subsidising greyhound abuse. Councillor Reilly has already mentioned the question about the viability of the industry without state sponsorship. I think that's a very good indication as to whether the industry should continue. If it's totally dependent on state sponsorship, that there isn't enough support from the general public to keep it going. So I fully support this motion to withdraw state funding from the abuse of greyhounds. Gurmagat.
Thank you, Councillor Parry. Councillor Lacey. Dermot?
Sorry, I was muted there. Lord Mayor, thank you for letting me in. I know this is quite a divisive issue, but I stand on the side of animal welfare, and I want to commend Cllr Reilly for putting forward the motion. I say this at a time when my own pet dog of 15 years passed away last Friday. So I suppose I'm quite sensitive about the issue of animal welfare at the moment. But if we have 16.5 million to spend on this industry, I believe that money should be spent on animal welfare and animal care. I don't see dog racing as a sport. Yes, there are jobs involved, but I think we have to be more sensitive to the needs of animal and the animal community. So I unhesitatingly support this particular motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Councillor Norton.
Thanks, Lord Mayor, and I just want to say thanks to Noeleen for bringing this motion forward. I'm not going to delay. I know we're short in time, so I won't go over all the points everyone has said, but I think the obvious fact that giving state funding to such an organisation for so long and in such a high volumes just can't go unquestioned. And also just to not forget the fact that those that have raised issues with the greyhound industry and the abuse and the lashback that they have received as well can go unnoticed. So again, People for Profit will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Norton, I have Councillor Jackson, but I did say I wouldn't be letting others speak on it so that we can actually vote for it. So Councillor Jackson, oh no, I have Councillor Deasy speaking on behalf of the Social Democrats. Her hand just came back up. Councillor Deasy.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The Social Democrats group will be supporting this motion and we won't be supporting the amendment. Last year, my colleague, Deputy Holly Cairns, brought forward a motion around this and has done a lot of work on it. And she looked to stop the 2.4 million increase the commercial greyhound racing industry was due to get this year to increase funding for the welfare of greyhounds and to phase out state support. Councillor Blackwell kind of focused on this, but I think it's important to note that 16% of the population agree that state funding, it's a very small percentage of the population agree that that should continue. It's really important as well that we acknowledge that there are many trainers who treat their greyhounds well, and I think these trainers will understand why we have serious concerns about the industry on a whole. The 19.2 million that the greyhound industry receives this year will be more than 6 times what all animal welfare organisations receive in Ireland, yet it's animal welfare organisations that pay the majority of rehoming costs, etc. The ISPCA, the largest animal welfare organisation in the country, has stopped engaging with the industry, and I believe we in DCC should seek that our government reconsider funding and their relationship with this industry also.
Sorry, thank you, Councillor Deasy. Councillor Anne Feeney is for Fine Gael, last speaker, and then we'll vote on the motion.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. I suppose I'd like to support the motion. I know this is an issue that many people have many views on, and as Councillor Deasy said, an awful lot of good trainers mind their animals and have enjoyed this sport over the last number of years. However, having said that, the welfare of animals has to be paramount here. You know, we have on that basis, I'd like to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, and Councillor Feeney. So before we go to voting for the motion, I need to ask the Sinn Féin representative whether we are still you're proposing your amendment, or would you like to withdraw?
No, I think we're going to propose our amendment, as is our democratic right.
We will vote absolutely, but we.
Sorry, can you read out the amendment, please?
Yeah,
Thanks again, if you wouldn't mind. Thanks.
Say that again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the amendment text, remove first sentence, add the words greyhound industry after the words in Ireland, and new sentence, Dublin City Council calls on the government to establish an independent body to oversee a full inquiry into abuse of dogs in the greyhound industry and to implement an action plan to tackle the causes and consequences of this abuse. So the amendment would revise the motion to the following. 6,000 dogs are killed inhumanely every year in Ireland in greyhound industry, as well as many more who suffer horrific abuse. In no way should this practice be tolerated, and certainly not at the expense of taxpayers. Dublin City Council calls on the government to establish an independent body to oversee a full inquiry into the abuse of dogs in the greyhound industry and to implement an action plan to tackle the causes and consequences of this abuse. So that is the amendment being voted on first, and then we will vote on the motion.
Sorry, Lord Mayor, just a point of order. Will the funding be taken away as part of that amendment? There's no mention of funding for the industry going forward. So I presume the funding would stay in place, but it'd be just that be more protections for the dogs, which is what we all want. Is that right?
Can I clarify that, Lord Mayor?
Can I ask Daniel Case or a Sinn Féin rep to clarify, please?
I'm happy to clarify that. I mean, our view would be that the funding would remain in place unless the required changes aren't fully implemented to root out the cruelty to dogs. And then, yes, of course, we would then review funding that industry.
The procedure here now is we vote on the amendment first. So I'll ask Ruth Dowling to share her screen.
Ruth's going to share her screen.
And we'll be voting online on this. So so the procedure is we vote on the amendment first. If the amendment is carried, then you put the motion as amended. If the amendment is defeated, then you go ahead and put the motion as originally put. Okay. So can we proceed to vote, Ruth?
Is the vote started?
I can't see it here, so
Do we go into Mod Gov to vote?
Oh, that I should do that.
If anyone can't vote via the system, please let Ruth know. Thank you.
Lord Mayor, I can't seem to vote here, so I'm voting against the amendment in any way, if that's okay.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I'm gonna call out Ruth's number. And
hello. Can I vote against the amendment as well, please?
And could I vote against it as well, please? It's Mannix Flynn here. Thank you.
Joe Costello here.
Okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, I have Vincent Jackson, I have Mannix Flynn, I have Joe Costello voting against the amendment.
Vote.
And Lord Mayor, Larry O'Toole here.
Yeah,
I don't
Larry?
seem to be able to use the apparatus. I'm voting for the amendment.
Okay, voting for the amendment, okay?
Patricia Rowe voting against.
Patricia voting against.
Yeah.
Cllr Reilly voting against.
Okay.
Can
we make sure if you're folks, can we make sure that if you are calling it out here your vote, that you didn't vote on the platform itself, please, so not doubling up. So Kieran, you're voting against?
Please.
Okay.
Lord Mayor, voting for.
Doolan voting for.
Damien O'Farrell here, I'm voting against.
Okay, Damien O'Farrell voting against.
Anthony Conaghan.
Neil Ring here voting for.
One at a time, folks. Anthony Conaghan and then Neil Ring, please. Councillor Conaghan.
Voting for the amendment.
Voting for the amendment. And Councillor Ring.
Voting for the amendment.
Okay, voting for the amendment. We're going to read back out those that called out their names here just in case. So
Okay, I have against the amendment Councillor Jackson, Councillor Costello, Councillor Mannix Flynn, Councillor Patricia Rowe, and Councillor Damien O'Farrell. And for the amendment, Councillor O'Toole, Councillor Doolan, Councillor Conaghan, and Councillor Ring.
Sorry, I text Ruth there. I was against the amendment. And
fine, if you texted Ruth, that's okay. So
I don't think my name was there, Lord Mayor. Kieran Perry.
Okay, Kieran Perry, that's against the amendment.
Against, please.
Okay.
Sorry, Ruth, I don't think my name is there. I'm against as well. I can't see it listed, and I did it online, so.
hang on, you did it online though, Tara, did you?
Yeah, but I can't see it. I can't see it listed as.
You've got to
maybe it's just-
refresh it and see how it goes, because it might just be a little slow.
Okay.
Is in there, okay.
So hang on, but Vincent is in the pool that didn't vote. See?
Okay. Where are we, Ruth?
So Councillor Nina voted against the motion. He texted his.
Okay.
Councillor Michael Waters against as well. And Councillor Donna Cooney in favour. So they're the ones that don't. And Councillor Deirdre Conroy against the amendment. I think
Sorry,
you've
Ruth, I was against the amendment and in favour of the motion.
Oh, but
it's actually come up now.
We're only on the amendment.
Okay, well, I'm doing it. It's actually come up online now for me, so I'm doing that now.
Okay.
Just taking a long time, great.
Okay, can we close the vote now? So the conclusion of the vote there is 29 plus 2, 3, 4.
Sorry, there's quite a lot not voted there, so I assume that hasn't.
No, those are Councillor Cooney. Those are people who either texted Ruth or called it out here online as well.
Who aren't in attendance.
Or who aren't in attendance as well.
Okay, so we've 29 plus 7, 36. So against, and you've 4, you've 9 plus 2, 9 plus 6, 15.
Deirdre, I voted against as well. She didn't, Ruth didn't call it out.
Sorry, the Lord Mayor voted against as well. Okay. Can we declare?
And Councillor Emer McCormack against Deirdre as well. I don't know if you go with that one.
Okay. Okay. The motion is the motion to amend is defeated. So can we take the motion then?
Yes.
Can we wait without a vote?
Can we now vote on the motion, please?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay, so if people are happy to agree it, that's fine.
No, I'd like my opposition to it noted, Lord Mayor, Councillor Noeleen Reilly here.
Hang on 1 second. Can I ask for people who would like their opposition noted, please? Was that Councillor Ring?
It was, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Ring. Anyone else?
Yes, it
Just
was, Lord Mayor, yeah.
Put up your hand virtually so we can record it. It'd be handier. Okay. Councillor Connolly, Councillor Murray.
I'd like to abstain, please, Lord Mayor.
You're abstaining. Councillor Murray, you're voting, you're objecting to it, are you?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay.
Just my opposition noted, please.
Yes, okay. Councillor Conaghan, noted opposition. Anyone else? No.
Anthony Conaghan.
Yeah, Anthony Conaghan is I just said it. No.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, anyone else? No.
So then, just in conclusion, the motion is carried. The opposition of Councillors Ring and O'Murray are noted, and Councillor Connolly abstained.
Yeah, and Conaghan.
Conaghan is abstained. Okay.
No, he voiced opposition for it.
Okay. So 3 councillors. So therefore, the motion is agreed.
Yeah. So the motion is agreed and motion passes.